Greetings and welcome back. One thing I forgot to mention in the last episode was the people that I need to thank. I really wanted to do that in that episode, but let's jump right into it here. I gotta say, honestly, number one is my brother. Actually, both my brothers and my sister. But especially the one brother who's been around for so much of it. His job allows him some flexibility. My other brother works for a very large corporation who tends to keep him quite busy. So, Chris, thank you so much for all you have done. I don't know if you'll ever hear this because you probably don't watch any of my videos, but I really, really do appreciate you. Chris is the one, otherwise known as Velvet Einstein, for anybody that listens to the radio up in Berkeley. He is the one that got me to my doctor the day this all started. And then the doctor told us to go to the ER, so he came to the ER with me. He had been working throughout the day to try and take care of some stuff around the house. He came to the ER and he stuck around until they got me in, and then even beyond that. And I mean, I didn't get in until almost 6 o'clock in the morning. So that was a long slog for him. You think you're suffering when you're the one in the ER. What about the people around you? We're there for you. We're there to get you there. I mean, maybe sometimes that things work out, somebody drops you off and you don't know how long it's going to take. Well, he wasn't going to take that chance. He just stuck around, and I'm so grateful for that because I kind of needed somebody beside me. But besides Chris, not to push him aside, I have to mention the staff at the hospital, the ER staff, the people who ushered me around in the hospital when they said I needed an MRI, but they didn't have an MRI in the ER, but they had one over in the hospital. It actually turned out that it was so late that the folks in the MRI were near the end of their shift. They knew I was coming, but what they call transport, the people who push the gurney or push the wheelchair around, they were not, they were short-staffed that night. And so the people from MRI came down and picked me up and brought me back. And they were very good-natured about it, went in, took care of the MRI, and then got me back before the end of their shift. And it wasn't a rush thing. It was just that they knew that somebody needed help, and they came down and got me. And I have to thank them for that and the good nature. Then getting back into the ER, all of the nurses and doctors and everybody making sure that all the fluids keep flowing and the blood gets drawn when it needs to get drawn so they can do testing, and all the people that do the testing. Oh my God, how many tests must they have to run per day? I mean, how many people in a hospital? And if I'm getting poked every 6 hours or something like that, so every patient times 4, that's a lot of work to take that blood and run it through all the tests that they have to run it through, and then get all of that data, however it's done. I don't know if it's automated or if they have to write stuff down, but they do have to make some notes in the file. So all of that they have to do. Thank you to all of you, to all of the nurses, the doctors, and the ER. Just so much and so many people, but thank you all. Then we get to the actual hospital and the neurology wing and all of those people. Absolutely wonderful. People, the nurses, so willing to put up with any little thing that you need. And I don't mean like, oh, can you scratch my foot? Or, actually, they'd be willing to. If I just had an itch that I couldn't reach, they would have propped me up and taken care of it. God knows they did other things that I won't go into. But if you end up in a situation like that, expect to just sort of give up your pride on things and let them take care of you. And they really, really did take care of me. So to all of the nurses for everything they did. And again, the blood draws, all of that, same department kind of, but maybe different staff. So more people taking care of all of that. And the doctors who have to sit in and review from blood draw to figure out, are things going in the right direction? Thank you, doctors. Even if you weren't directly involved with me, thank you. If you think about it for a minute, who's making sure the lights stay on? And I don't mean paying the bills, although there's an accounting department, I'm sure, and they've got to make sure the lights stay on in that sense. But there's an engineering team, or I don't know exactly what you would call it, but they're the people who make sure things stay running. And if they weren't there, then all of these other people couldn't do their jobs. So to all of them, thank you. It's just amazing when you start to think about how many people there are to run a hospital. I can't leave you folks out. The cafeteria staff. You hear all the jokes about bad food in hospitals. This stuff was great. Every meal felt, well, maybe not every meal. There might have been one that slipped, but almost every meal felt like I was in a restaurant, except that I was lying in a bed. And, there were some difficulties trying to eat because depending on how you're situated, and then they bring the little table over to you and raise it or lower it. But if you can't sit up too much, now you're reaching up to get your food. So that made it a little difficult. And if your arms aren't working the way they're supposed to, that adds another layer. But wow, these people were it was good food. Seriously, it was good food. The cleaning crews that have to go into every room in the hospital, one by one, and clean up stuff, pull out the trash. The nurses have enough work. Fortunately, they've got a large garbage can that can throw away anything that's soiled. So you've got a cleaning crew that has to come through and make sure the floors are clean so people don't slip on them. I even heard those, if you've ever seen those machines they use to clean the floors in a supermarket, same thing in a hospital. At least, it's kind of like a miniature Zamboni. But they run those things middle of the night. Yeah, I heard them, but I realized that stuff's got to get done. So to all the cleaning crew, to the administrative staff who figure out scheduling to get so many nurses in and out. It's just amazing how many people it takes to take care of you. And especially in a case like a broken neck. If it was a slip and fall, they probably would have had me out. As long as it was just a sprain or something like that, they'd probably bandage me up and have me out in a few hours. I was there for about a week. That's a lot of man hours taking care of me. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And then finally, the surgeon who did the actual operation. Absolute master, absolutely the most patient person that I've ever met. Doctors have a lot to do, but he kept coming in and saying, do you have any more questions? And I'm like, okay, I've got more questions. And then I would come up with more while he was gone, and he would come back again. So I had all my questions answered before I went into surgery. That is fantastic because you don't walk in, but you get wheeled into surgery knowing what's going to happen. I may not have had all the details at the time, but I had enough to make me very comfortable going in. The anesthesiologist, he said he was going to put me out. And I don't mean that in a joking way. The surgeon said, this is one of the best we have. And I was just like, okay, one anesthesiologist versus the other. I was expecting to get like an injection for a local before they hit you. Like when you go to the dentist, they give you, if they need to numb you up, they give you something before they give you the equivalent to what we use with Novocaine. It's not Novocaine anymore, but first they kind of numb you up locally and then they hit you with the big one. And that's what I was expecting. No, I forgot I had an IV in. They were able to just push it right into the IV and boy, did I go out. I was expecting there to be a process, there was no process. I just went out instantly and came back up. You got the people in the recovery room. You got the people, once they get you back into a room, they're making sure you've got that device on your legs to keep the blood moving so you don't get blood clots. All of these people, so many to thank. And then, well, what else? I mean, there's all that time spent. I don't know if you call it recovery or not. I was in a room and they were continuing to evaluate me and figure out. And then there was the second trip, which there's all the people that did their work there, which is, again, more nurses, more doctors. That poor lady had to come and poke me every morning. Actually, more than that. But she would just, at first it was like she was wearing a mask every time she came in. And then at one time I just, I'm sure she gets so many people that don't like to get poked. So she's got kind of a thick skin. And one morning I just, try this. If you're in a hospital and watch what happens. I just said, a friendly face. I mean, it's like 5 a.m. and she's coming to poke me yet again. And I just chose to take it in stride. And I said, friendly face. And I think the next time she came in, she didn't have the mask on. She just opened up. And it was so good to see that she could see that there was a patient that she was taking care of that really was appreciative. So that was a fun one, just to see her open up. The more you give to them, the even better they are for you, but they are there for you regardless. Whether you complain a lot or you try to be as good about it as you can. Their ultimate goal is to make sure that you're taken care of. What else? There's the pharmacy has to make sure that all of the medicines that various different doctors want to give you, that they're all compatible. So to the pharmacists, thank you. I really do appreciate everything that everybody did. And finally, to my family. They all wanted to come visit, even if I was exhausted and didn't really want too many visitors, but I do appreciate that everybody wanted to come say hi. Even extended family who couldn't make it to the hospital, they were praying for me. Even my mother-in-law, who has worked in a hospital. I'm not exactly sure what she does, but she knows a lot about the nursing thing and the medications and the rest of that. And she got really concerned when she was told in amidst some confusion that I was on blood thinners and there was a surgery. And she immediately thought, oh, wait a minute, you're not supposed to take blood thinners right before surgery. But that was after the surgery. So once we cleared that up, I'm sure she was quite relieved. But thank you, Mom. Appreciate that one. And my mother came. My father could not make it, but I'm sure he was there in spirit. He was unfortunately stuck at home because he can't travel very much. But we've got him set up with audiobooks. He's fine as long as he's not just sitting by himself. So my brother, my mother managed to keep him occupied. So that was good. My other brother came to visit. I mean, so many people to be thankful for. I'm so grateful for everybody that was involved in this experience. It was scary, but there were people that made me comfortable. And you should know, if you end up in a situation like this, trust in the people that are taking care of you. Yeah, there are horror stories out there about this and that. But if you give them the trust and you be as cooperative as you can be, you'd be surprised at how they respond. They're great people to start with, great bedside manner, really pleasant people, but just give it a chance. And I'll leave it at that. We'll pick up in the next episode with updates on how I'm doing. Thank you so much. Take care.